Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. I trust everything looks all right. I got a new camera, you already saw. The idea of last week was to take a week off, rest, recuperate. It's been like the toughest week. Not the toughest week, but like working out more, going out every day with the kids, and it's just like, I feel worse. But I would really like to do some live streaming, and I'm happy that we're here doing that. Yeah, so the camera I got is a GoPro Hero 9. It's not an amazing camera, but I haven't had a GoPro ever. It's pretty neat. It's the one that has a little screen on the front and the back. It can be remotely viewed over Bluetooth to a phone, and I'm using it as a webcam here. So all stuff that's pretty cool, but as a webcam, it's been pretty flaky. It took probably 8 minutes or something, like disconnecting, trying different cables. It was previously working, like I set it up last night to work, and then when I opened OBS, it took like 4 times opening it. So that's not great, and it's probably just because I've got that camera, I've got this camera, I've got this camera all set up at the same time. It's a lot of USB bandwidth, I guess. So yeah, that one looks pretty cool. Much better than the Elgato Facecam, even though they're both 1080p. Yeah, so that's a connection over USB for that one. So Reaper got an update over the weekend, I guess it was. Not a lot of big new changes, but good stuff. And so we'll look at some of that today. It's been a few days since I've looked at the changelog, and there wasn't a whole lot that I wanted to talk about, but it's at least worth just double checking. In CSI, they added a auto effects remap action, a CSI action, not a Reaper action. Once you have some effects maps created, you can drag and drop to reorder things, which is pretty nice. So a lot less like code tweaking, which has always been the downside of CSI. So we're going to look at that. A couple months back, we were looking at the KVR Audio Dev Challenge 2021 entries. The voting has just begun for Dev Challenge 2023. So there are 20-something entries. I can't remember the exact number. But we're going to try a couple of them that just kind of stand out and look interesting. Also, the last stream was centered around the NAM Neural Amp Modeler plugin and the web app thing for training. So since that, I've taken some time to install the Mac standalone app, which is like a Python thing. So running in the terminal, and there's a Python companion app. It's a bit ugly, but it lets you batch process, which is very cool. So I'm going to take you through some of the things that I've learned in that time. What I actually trained was a bunch of settings on this pedal, on the MXR Bass DI Plus. Actually, let's use this other new camera. Why not? And the tubescreamer TS7 in hot mode, because I know that hasn't been modeled by anyone else on the Tone Hunt site. And I got much better results with that bass pedal. So I've got clean versions with just different EQs, and then a bunch of different distortion settings, just basically changing the gain. And then a couple of settings for different blends that I tend to use, where that pedal has like a blend control, so you can have some clean sound plus distortion, and then yeah, different EQ settings. So I trained a bunch. Maybe we'll do one. I got a new pedal actually. The Fender Pugilist. It's Pugilist. Pugilist distortion. Which is just one of those things, like, it was a great deal. Able to get that used for like $70 or something like that. NAM the Jet City. I don't have an attenuator to do the Jet City. but I would like to. Although I have to say, like the JCA 20 that's in Amplitude 5 is really good. That's the reason I bought that amp. Well, partly because of the price. Well, like that amp sounded really good in Amplitude. And then I saw that it's only like $300 or something like that. So I got the real thing and I like it a lot. But I don't get to play it. I haven't been able to play a guitar through that in a long time since moving to this apartment. So it's a loud one and I need an attenuator. I sold my, the purple thing, hot plate. Yeah, I think it's a hot plate. Next thing, it's a bit more gear news, stuff that I bought. Baritone Telecaster. I got this awesome engraved or etched pickguard. Check that out. I love that. We'll say Father's Day gift. But yeah, it's this death moth design. It's from, I think, Indigo Guitars. Very cool. I had so many problems installing it. It's made perfectly well. It comes with screws, everything you need, but it was a very slightly different screw alignment for this guitar. It's maybe off by a 1/16 of an inch because this is like a vintage style Telecaster, but it has, but we had ordered like the modern style. It's very, very slight difference. But also because it's a Squier, it comes with kind of cheap hardware. So the screws from the factory for the pickup were stripped. The heads were stripped on it. And so I had to get another set of new pickup screws. So that came in. I finally had time to like dedicate to rebuilding it. Once I had the new screws, I used a screwdriver and eventually, very slowly, got that to come out. I put in the new screws and the threading for the pickups was like slipping. The screws were slipping out. So I had to like fill the gap with super glue and then re-drill and thread that. And once I got the pickup installed, went to put it into the guitar, and those new screws are a little bit longer than the original screws. So then I had to get out the drill and make a little slot for the screws to fit in so it could finally get attached to the guitar properly. And then once that was in, I was able to see the exact screw alignment, and I could get in like 7 out of the 8 screws. And the last one just needed a little bit of an adjustment with the drill, and got the last screw in and got the neck back on it. I love it. I really enjoy the look of that. What should have been like a 10-minute swap over of a pick guard ended up being an hour. Ended up needing power tools, hand tools, all these things. Once I had that all together, I went over again with a file to get some edges of the frets done. But I love how it looks in the end. It's modding guitars is sometimes like the most straightforward, easy thing, and other times it is everything goes wrong. No matter how careful you are with ordering the right parts and everything, things can go wrong. I figured drilling into the body slightly is preferable to cutting the screws. If I had like a belt sander or a disc sander or something, I would just file down the screws until they're like, 1/4 inch shorter. Probably not even that much, 1/16 of an inch. It just needed to be slightly shorter or make room in the body. Because it's a Fender Squier, not like a, $1,000 guitar, $1,200 guitar. I don't mind that much to drill into it a little bit, customize it and stuff like that. Did I use a drill jig? No, I used a ice pick to mark the spot, a small drill bit to get it started, and then a larger drill bit. What file to use? Just a fine file, detail file I got from Radio Shack years ago. All right, one more guitar to show you. So My wife works at a pawn shop, and this guitar has been in and out of pawn for years. This guy just keeps bringing it in, and eventually he didn't pay it. And then they waited 3 or 4 weeks, and he still didn't come in. So this is a Squire Jaguar. Actually forgot to take some tape off this as I was doing the intonation yesterday. And it's a lovely guitar. Greatly underpriced. This is a probably 2012 model, made in 2013. And yeah, Fender Jaguar. I think this pickguard may have been replaced. They're Duncan designed pickups, which it doesn't seem to be standard. Not sure, but like no scratches. It looks like it's never ever been played. It's just been in a case in the pawn shop for a long time. So it's got some interesting setup. Concentric pots for tone and volume of each pickup. And it's a PJ configuration. I'm probably going to swap out this bridge if I can find something with the same screw alignment, something beefier. I just like it's kind of a thinner die-cast bridge that I don't like that much. And there's the headstock. And it is absolutely a problem now that I have so many guitars. I went from 4 guitars this time last year. And then I got the baritone Telecaster. I got the Aerodyne jazz bass. Then I got the Ibanez 5-string with the multi-scale, and then that new Jaguar. So my rack that holds 7 guitars is not enough. Davi says, I've run Reaper 1,707 times. Now I know I won't be using any other DAW. Very nice. Let's check mine. I have used Reaper approximately 4,160 days, run Reaper 8,838 times, and this is not counting the year that I spent on PC. So yeah, quite a long time. Just started getting into hardware compressors. The more you send audio out and back into the DAW, does it lower the quality at all? Curious about converting over and over. Generally these days, it's pretty safe to do that a bunch of times. I mean, you can always test it if you've got a lower end converter. You can try running it through a bunch of times and then do a null test to the original. Let's say you run it 10 generations and compare it to the original. It's as long as it's unity gain all the way through, you're not pushing the levels a lot, adding saturation each time, it should be pretty much identical to the original. That's what I found with my even kind of inexpensive equipment. So just the converting itself doesn't degrade the sound. Just each time you're converting it, make sure you're adding something good to it. Always amazes me how many things can go wrong when modding a guitar. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't have to use a router or anything like that. I'll grab the fret file. They're nothing special. These were from Radio Shack in, I don't know, 2008, let's say. No, not even. Must have been like 2005. They're very old. I usually use the one with the rounded back. I don't know. They're just very, very fine tooth, and probably not as fine or good as actual tools for guitars. It's just what I have. Someone mentioned Radio Shack, dating yourself. Yeah, I mean, I've been dabbling with electronics and tools and stuff for many, many years. Ever since probably 17 years old, maybe earlier than that. Have to use diamond encrusted files to shape stainless steel frets. Yeah, the frets on the Squire guitar seem to be like pretty weak. It's almost like knife sharpening. They must have someone like trying to shave their arms with the frets on the guitar to make sure that it's ready to ship, because they're always so sharp. Even though that guitar's been serviced back in maybe December, I had to file them again. All right, so Reaper 6.81 has been released this week. It's mostly a bug fix update, but there are some things probably worth looking at. So let's do that now. Action window, add second or number 2 and D as default synonyms. Just a reminder, you can add additional synonyms when you are, or for searching the action list by editing the language pack. So if we search for second, the word second and 2 and D should come up here. Yeah, second pass render, things like that. So if you search for second pass, typing in all letters, 2ND pass will come up. So there's lots of little things like that. Allow removing shortcut by hitting delete while shortcut list is focused. All right, so back to Reaper. Let's take some action. This custom clear all selection. So if I select this and then press the delete key, that will remove it. You don't have to click the button there, which is cool. Nice, helpful thing. If media file contains tempo metadata and file name also suggest a tempo, prefer the metadata tempo. Makes sense. You got to pick one. That seems like the best one to pick. When tempo matching, respect tempo embedded in metadata, even if the resulting file length is a fractional number of beats. Interesting. Fix adding multiple actions at once. Yeah, there was a bug where if you select a bunch of actions to add to a toolbar, they will kind of be almost a random order. So now that should work fine. So we're going to go to the menu editor. And let's say, I don't know, floating toolbar. Go to add, action list comes up. Let's just take these 4 things. I'm going to do select and close, and that puts them in the same order that I selected them. Previously, they would kind of be random order. When using trim and stretch markers, better handle corner cases. So this is something that came up as a sort of a Reaper bug with that was found by the project archiver script we talked about 2 weeks ago. So that's a sort of a corner case, edge case, rarely used thing. If you have stretch markers in items and you use the truncate or trim function when you're doing a save as and copying the media, that should work better now. Video, improve UI for audio preferences in video source properties dialog. All right, let's check that one out. This will be the last things. If I right click source properties, this is new. Audio, use global default low res peaks. So these aren't new options, just kind of a redesign of this. So you can disable audio, you can disable the peaks, use global. Yeah, so setting it to disable audio and then okay. And that removes the audio from that video clip. Pretty simple stuff. And that's what's new in Reaper 6.81. Not a whole lot to talk about, a couple little things, but yeah, that's it. Be great to have Reaper integrated into DaVinci Resolve. If they add LUT support to Reaper, I don't think I would need to use Resolve at all. Anything else you'd want them to add to Reaper? Second video window is one that I frequently ask for in the situation of like a voice actor or a Foley studio. You want to have one monitor for the engineer with the video window as big or small as you want, and then have a second monitor or projector for the talent to see. Right now you have to clone one monitor, so minimum 3 monitors. You can't have a layout like this where you've got a video window in Reaper plus a full screen video window separate. You can't do it with 2 monitors, kind of annoying. Effects containers, yeah, that's coming, but I don't personally care that much about effects containers. I think it'll be a cool feature, but I'm not. I've been happy with Reaper since version 3 when I bought. Everything that's added since then, I'm like, it's just better value. Like ever since Reaper 5, I've been able to do video editing, replace Premiere Pro with Reaper, and I haven't really looked at Resolve or Premiere or Final Cut or any of these other apps at all. More video stuff, personally, is what I'd like. Other than that, I'm happy. More stock plugins, a redesign of the stock plugin UIs would be nice. A few like built-in instruments, maybe a drum-centric version of Resamplematic. Can't really think of anything that would improve it. It's pretty rad because if I look at old Logic, Cubase, Ableton sessions, there's a ton of things I wish they'd add. Is there a way to edit more than one RS5k? So you have 3 RS5Ks and wanted to change the attack at one time. Do you know if there's a way? Yeah, there is actually. RS5k Manager. Oh, it's I think you need to pay. Might need to pay. But yeah, MPL has a thing called RS5k Manager, which I don't have a license for. Look at the Reaper blog, and we go to RS5k. This is a video I did on the old version of this. But yeah, it allows you to group the settings. It allows like drag and drop of the samples into this UI. Yeah, so you've got this like UI of it. You could drop the samples in, and there's kind of global editing shortcuts in there as well. I'll put a link to this. It's been updated a lot since then. But yeah, that's pretty much the only way to do it right now. Mobile wireless control of Reaper with lyrics and recording controls on one mobile page. Reaper wireless app add-on feature possibly. Oh yeah, so something to add to Reaper. It is possible to edit all of that stuff together. There's just a couple different HTML pages already built. You just need to merge them to have lyrics and a transport bar as a web remote. You could do that. Only tried Reaper twice, did not find track, add track MIDI. Switching from Cubase to Reaper because Cubase, MIDI, CC, and PC have me perplexed. Reaper, unlike a lot of other DAWs, doesn't have different track types, really. So we want to add a track, just double click. If you're specifically using a virtual instrument, your best bet is to right click, insert virtual instrument on new track. Pick a virtual instrument, let's say Analog Lab. Double click on it. The plugin opens up. The track gets armed. It gets monitor enabled. It gets named, and it gets set up with a MIDI input. So input is automatically set. Whereas regular tracks, when they get armed, in my case, they're not monitor enabled, and they default to the first audio input. When you're doing MIDI, most of the time, you're using this single instrument on a track. Otherwise, it's just a regular track, and you set the input to MIDI. So yeah, there's not really different track types. A MIDI track could have audio, MIDI, video, GIFs, text, all different types of media on there. Coming from another DAW where there's like, you have to have separate mono and stereo tracks. You have to have, I don't know, there's surround tracks, there's MIDI tracks, there's instrument tracks, all these different types of tracks. Reaper is just one type of track with a shortcut if you're using instruments. Recently, CSI Control Surface Integrator from Jeff Waddington added a new feature called FX Remapping. As you may know, when you add in an effect to Reaper, when you're using CSI for your control surface, it will automatically build a map of controls. So the first 8 controls will assign to the first 8 encoders on your control surface. But if you want to modify that, you do have to open up a text file and change things around. Until now, there's FX Remapping. So let's look at this. So you're going to go to here, let's add in a track, add in an effect. We'll just take one that I haven't opened on this at all yet. So we've got Saturator X here. Not a whole lot of parameters, 3 parameters. Maybe this is a 4th parameter. Not a whole lot here. Just adding the plugin builds in the file, and let's find that file in the CSI folder. So Xtouch custom auto-generated effects zones. Here's saturator X. If I open this up in a text editor, you see first 8 parameters are assigned and everything else is blank. If you want to do detailed changes, this is where you do it. But there's a lot of things you can do inside of Reaper now. So I've assigned the F4 button on the controller to bring up this window. This is the effects remapping tool. So we can change the order of the buttons and stuff. So let's say we want output gain to be the last parameter. Let's move that one out to number 8. You can just drag and drop and then hit save. But yeah, if I want to do input gain, it's this. Let's unlink those. Is there a link button? I don't see one, so I'll just click that with the mouse. But I can control the gain. I can control the mode. I can control brick wall on or off. Okay, so brick wall on and off, this is actually a toggle. So let's customize that. I'll hit the F4 button that brings up this dialog. I can go to the brick wall mode, double click on it, and there's some additional settings here. We can change this to just 2 steps and save that. And yeah, that feels better. I don't have to turn it as far to go on or off. So you can repeat that for any of the other settings in there. Let's go to the mode control. There's 10 modes. Let's press F4. We'll go to the mode control, double click, use rotary push, and set this to 10 steps. And so maybe you wouldn't want to do this with 10 steps, but this is something you can do. You're just demonstrating the function. So tapping it, and each time I tap, it increments the setting back around to the different things. Let's go to another plugin, let's say Valhalla plate. The first 8 parameters may not be the ones that you want to actually have adjusting in here at all times. And so let's say I want to just have decay as the first parameter. I can move that around. Might want mix as my 8th parameter. All the EQs I can move down to shift plus. We'll take type and bring that into the number 7 slot. Okay, decay, pre-delay, size, width, mod rate, depth, the type, mix. And if I hold down shift, I've got the EQs. That's basically how I would use that tool. That's much quicker than opening up the text editor and manually changing things. I've heard that they are going to give the option of using the faders instead of just the encoders in the future. It's something that I missed from the Reapinger BCF 2000 layout that I was using before with CSI 1. But yeah, this is all really cool stuff. So that's the effects auto remapping function. I think it's really cool. It's great implementation. I think this is just a start. It will be developed even further. Something that could actually visually show you how things are connected might be really cool. But for now, just being able to drag and drop to reorder and to turn encoders into push buttons is really cool. We'll see where this goes. CSI develops very fast, so I'm sure this is not the last time I'll be talking about this. I don't use it enough to really understand all the details of CSI. I wish I could use it more, but I end up spending like an hour reading the forum to catch up, and then I don't feel like using the controller. AK5K says, I've been working on a new control surface extension. It's ReaScript API programmable for MIDI and Mackie control compatible controllers called Rea MCU Live. Cool. I may check that out. I may not, because I promised I would do a video on Relearn and CSI and one of the other ones, Smart Knobs. They're all so deep and so different that I don't enjoy using the controller at all. I just want to focus on learning one of them right now. I am really liking CSI. In general, it's just, it has everything where I want it, and the customization options that are available are pretty easy for me to do. Maybe not the best option for everyone. Relearn is very deep. And for the Xtouch, which has like 600 parameters or something to assign, knobs and buttons and faders and all that. It's just overwhelming. It's too much work for me to even start. And then when I try to configure it for other controllers, I just keep thinking, I don't actually need this controller to work in this way. Why am I bothering? Why am I spending so much time? You really need to try to mostly use the controller. It's great for volumes. I don't like mixing without the faders, but the other buttons and stuff, I tend to forget what they do if it's been a few days. These F keys, I'm constantly having to look in the config files and check what they're doing because I forget. I've got my F1 as a toggle between the last touched effects parameter and the master track. F2 will update the UI or the things with the focused effects. So that's usually on all the time. So like even if I'm in track mode, not plugin mode, whatever plugin is on screen will show on the encoders. Pretty nice. F3, I don't know if that does anything. F4 is that to bring up the thing. And the only reason I assigned it to F4 was because that was the example they used in the documentation. Then the rest, I don't remember what the others do. F8 is my my automation workflow. I think I'm gonna switch lenses. That looks better. GoPro's still working after an hour. That's pretty good. Thanks for your tutorials. It helps. Hey, you're very welcome. What kind of softbox are you using for your key light? The key light is a Godox. You can't even see my key light. My key light's this one. You won't be able to hear me, but I'm gonna go over to the... No, I can't move it any further. Godox QRP90. I got this light as payment for a sponsored video. It's a very good light as far as I can tell. Most live streams are pretty bad in terms of lighting. John's light game is on point. Well, thank you. I try. It's been a struggle over the years. I've got a lot of lights accumulated over the years of things I've tried, trying to go cheap in a lot of cases. Never been worth going cheap in the end. I actually have everything on an app. So using smart switches, smart plugs. So let's turn background lights off. So background lights off. I can also change the color of those, which I never do. You may have never even noticed that these are color changing lights. I never use them. Turn them all off. There's background only. Here's the hair light. And that's a newer 660. My fill light is a newer 660 with a softbox and a grid. And then the key light. So the softbox softens the highlights so you don't get bright single spots. I mean, this is bright and shiny, but it's not like overexposed, and it's a smooth transition. The grid on the softbox keeps the light going straight, or when I change the fill light on and off, or I change the key light on and off, it's not really affecting the background all that much. It's much worse if you don't have a softbox, you don't have a grid. Makes it more directional. But I've gone through a lot of different things for lights over the years. I've used work lights from Home Depot. I made a big thing. I took a bathroom vanity fixture with 4 lights, and then I put these adapters that give you 2 bulbs per socket. So then I had 8 bulbs, and then I would put that behind a screen to diffuse the light. And I used that for quite a while in the Q&A videos back in probably 2015. But yeah, just getting like stuff made for videos is such a game changer, really. I don't have to color correct my videos now that this is set up. Is there an email or a way to get answers from Resonus? I have submitted a ticket for a bug, but I have not heard back from them. Using my Faderport 16, all tracks are showing up in the mixer window, even frozen tracks. I don't know that layout. I think the GitHub's probably the best way to ask. But I haven't seen them on the Reaper forum in a while. What coffee do I like? I buy the Melita whole bean espresso Bella Crema. Used to be very inexpensive on Amazon, but it went up by $8 a bag over the last couple of years. Yeah, I still buy that, but more locally now. And on a good day, that's like $12 for 2 pounds. I do that in a immersion process where it's just beans, hot water, or ground beans, hot water. Weigh it, time it, strain it. That's what I like. But this is actually iced coffee made in the same way, but instead of brewing for 6 minutes, it brews for like 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours. Jason, no worries about the demo track. I am like behind on making videos and stuff. I got that demo from Vulture Culture that I haven't done anything with. I need to make a video for that. Is the background music your music? No, it's a royalty-free streaming safe stuff called backing track. That's backing track. But there's a lot of Carl Casey on that playlist as well, which is the more synth-wavy stuff. I don't remember if I played this on a stream before, but I asked Vulture Culture for a demo of my Drum XD, aka synth drums sample library. So yeah, that's what the cover of that looks like. This is a free sample library for patrons and channel members. So this is a demo that he made for me when I asked. Yeah, so I need to make a video demo of that, like a little YouTube short thing for that demo. Do I have my own music released on Spotify or YouTube? I don't. I rarely finish music. Usually the music I make ends up in a video and just leave it as is. I never release it beyond like background music in a video. KVR Audio Developer Challenge 2023 has just finished the developer portion of the challenge. So now there are a bunch of plugins for people to try out and vote on. There are a total of 23 entries. We will look at a few of these. Probably not give a completely thorough critique of them. Maybe not vote at all, but just showcase a few of them that jump out to me. We don't have enough time to really explore these. Here's one that kind of is interesting to me. BassTame compresses the bass to get a more defined overall sound. As it weighs the bass amplitude in reference to the non-bass amplitude, it works level independent. Simply dial in the amount and crossover frequency to be done. Interesting. T-Rex 220E is the new virtual instrument from Max Project. Consists 12 drum sounds, highest quality. So this is what it looks like. Not really catching my interest today. Got enough drum samplers at the moment. Noisier, a simple noise generator from Michael Hurst. It's a audio plugin created to generate noise sounds quick and easily with a selected range of modulators to shape the sound. So MIDI in, white noise out, or some sort of colored noise. I think that's somewhat useful. No installer for Mac. We'll see if that works. I was actually going to sample some of my synths with the white noise and just see what I could do with it. Davi, you've already downloaded some. What was there anything that stood out to you? Roundels, Euclidean nonlinear polymetric polyrhythmic morphable step sequencer. So this is a Mac only, I guess, MIDI effect. Designed to function as a MIDI effects plugin in Logic. Who knows if this will work otherwise? I'm going to pass on that one for now, but it is interesting. There's a sample library for trumpets. If you're looking for some trumpet stuff that works with breath controllers and things like that. Not really something I'm looking for right now. Wave Breaker is a true peak stereo limiter designed to provide high levels of transparency and instant visual feedback for a seamless workflow. Is the design concept and waveform display engine from Wave Observer to create a mixing and mastering tool for audio professionals and enthusiasts alike. That's pretty nice looking. I have to say I'm not really looking for something like that, but because we were looking at Peak Eater a while ago, there's the one in Reaper I think is quite good. This is a nice looking limiter if you're in the market. Limiters are just kind of boring to discuss. Alien Stepmother. Out of this world multi-effects step sequencer, drag above or below the baby aliens to shift through a galaxy of noise. Click on the mummy alien to open up the eyeball controls. From there, you can select your drive speed through space, set the effects mode, and ultimately open up a whole universe of intergalactic aural soundscapes. Okay, yeah, I mean, how could we not? How could we not try that one out? It's horrible. Okay, well, maybe we'll just watch this video for a second. I don't know. I might try it. It seems interesting. Definitely a novel approach to the UI. A lot of competition in the multi-effects, what do you call it? Multi-effects sequenced thing when you're going up against Satala. No, not Satala. Yeah. No? Not Satala. Tantra and Infiltrator and Glitch and SEQ. Monster Octachord V1. Okay, so this is a creates chords. Have you followed numerous YouTube tutorials on how to make chords only to find it incredibly challenging to master? Okay, so it's like a MIDI tool. Spatstrument SM24. This looks crazy. I'm not gonna even attempt to try that one. Okay, eCoder is basically an EQ that you use like a vocoder. So like maybe all pass filters or something like that. Interesting. Okay, I downloaded a couple of them. We'll move on quickly. Okay, I'm just gonna install these VST3 plugins. We will see if these scan properly. Cannot be opened because not a verified developer. Yeah. We'll try to do this. When there's no installer, you always have to go through this thing. May or may not work. Open anyway. May or may not work. I don't know. Might have to restart Reaper before it works. What kind of music do you listen to or artists for musical inspiration? Listen to kind of a wide variety of things, I would like to think. Hard rock, metal, post-rock, post-metal, synthwave, and all the variations of synthwave. If I had to pick a few favorites, Junius, Carpenter Brute, Carnival. I like Depeche Mode. I like Skinny Puppy. All right, I'm probably gonna have to quit and restart Reaper. See if we can get this installed. Yeah, I listen to a lot of different things. I guess I listen to a fair bit of metalcore as well. Killswitch Engage, Spirit Box. I don't know. Lots of stuff. I don't think these worked. I'm clicking open anyway, and it's not. All right, let's try right-click on Reaper and then open. See if that makes a difference. Nope. Try the VST scan again. Yeah, it's not coming up with the... I tried just opening it in terminal. I don't think this is working. Oh, I think I got BassTame working. And it's bridged. So far, this is not a good segment for the live stream because nothing is working. But let's put on the NAM plugin, neural amp modeler. Put that before BassTame, and I will choose my, let's say, blend 1. This is my Ibanez 5-string iron label. Okay, so here is the sound with no amp or anything. I'll keep the EQ flat on it. Okay, and then neural amp modeler with my my bass pedal. And then BassTame. So this is a single band, multi-band compressor, it seems like. So it just compresses the bass. And it, for parameters, what is there? Preset, bypass, amount, crossover, bypass, wet, delta. Maybe bass isn't the best use for it then. Maybe for chuggy guitars, it'd be really good. All right, so I'm going to switch this to my tubescreamer. Add in a second NAM with... The NAM plugin is pretty good right now, but hopefully it gets improved to be a little quicker for changing tones, because it's a bit slow right now. It's a little slow to choose amps, cabs, all this stuff. not even clipping yet. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of where I would probably use it, just to compress the lows. Maybe not too, I don't know. Not sure the frequency yet. I kind of like it. But so far, that's the only plugin out of these Dev Challenge plugins that I was able to try. Hopefully they have an actual installer, because the ones that don't have an installer are kind of difficult to install. Okay, and then here is Wavebreaker. Some of these controls almost feel reversed to me. Does that make sense to anyone else? Turning up the compensate turns down this waveform. I don't know. All right, so let's do Delta Solo. Oh, because the volume change, there's a lot happening there. Come on. There we go. Now Delta Solo is working. So far, it's kind of hard to A/B compare because there's such a volume difference. If you're just going for hearing those artifacts. Yeah, well, Wavebreaker seems pretty cool, pretty simple. I don't know if I will use it, but I don't dislike it. Comes in a few different colors. Resizable. Yeah, I mean, lots of good modern things. Lots to like about it. It's just not super interesting. And no offense to the developer. I'm just not in the mood to talk about limiters, really. But points for actually being able to install it and authorize it in under a minute. I really need to cook lunch. I was 1,000 calories below what I was supposed to eat yesterday, so today is not going super well. All right, I am back. I'm no longer dying of hunger. So a couple weeks ago, we were playing around with NAM Neural Amp Modeler and tried the online version of the trainer, or training that neural network. We had some mixed results. I was trying to train it on a reamp of a clean bass pedal, and we weren't hearing much of a difference. So I've redone all of that stuff with new reamps and much more careful about the levels and all that stuff. And I've been using a offline version of the trainer, which allows for batch processing. Shout out to the Discord, the Neural Amp Modeler unofficial Discord. If you need support for Neural Amp Modeler, seems like a great place to go. I got answers from Dom McSweeney right away about any of my issues that came up. So to get the thing installed, I followed this video, so I'll put a link to that in the chat. If you're on Mac, this is how you install it. Pay attention to what's in the description. You should copy and paste this before you go through the install. But now that I do have it installed, I go to Terminal, and then type in NAM, enter. And after a few seconds, the NAM trainer comes up. So I'm gonna have to switch to light mode for this because some of the text was invisible last time I was trying this. So NAM trainer, this is all the same functions as the online thing, but once you have it installed, it's much simpler. So this is a Python window. We've got terminal here to show the script progress and all this stuff. So input audio, we're going to select that downloads, what is it called? V200, that wave. Output audio, going to select a reamp file. Let's go to the reamp session before we continue. Okay, so I've got that training file in a track on Reaper that's sending out my SPDIF out to my external converter, which has a loop of a reamp box, a pedal, a DI, and then back into SPDIF input one. So a loop around. This track is not going to the master. Master sent off. This track does go to the master, but I have it muted usually. I usually have the track all the way down so I don't hear it. What I'm checking for is clipping. So making sure that it's not clipping on that loop back. When the reamp is finished, I zoom in here. Let's see if I've got one. Yeah, let's take this one. So this is a raw recording immediately after recording. If I zoom in here and increase the peak height with a shift up arrow a few times, I see that there's a little bit of a gap. And that's because I'm going in and out of an external converter without compensating for the delay, which you would have compensated for you automatically if you use something like reinsert. You can see that there is a delay, and we can compensate for this delay by holding down the Alt key and dragging to line up these peaks. So I would say that's lined up pretty well. And you just need to get them somewhat close because the trainer will take care of that as well. So I usually just zoom in on one of these and they should all be, the same. The last thing is that there's a little bit of a gap before the end. So I'm not manually stopping. I'm using an action marker in Reaper to stop. but you can see I have my marker here and it's gone off a little bit more. So I didn't even bother lining this up exactly with the end of the original clip because there's going to be a little bit of an offset anyways. So I left a bit of an offset so I can easily grab this even if I'm zoomed out and snap it to the edge. Once I have that time aligned and shaving off the end, I hold down the Command and Alt keys and I drag this over to my Finder window, and that creates a new render of that media item with those two changes implemented. If you wanted, you could also adjust the gain. I don't know, honestly, if there's an optimal way of doing that. You can normalize it, but I usually just left them alone and was somewhat careful about the settings. Obviously, if you're using different gain amounts, the volume increases as you increase the gain. So just watch over clipping, try to keep things consistent. So that's a file you would take. So let's take that exact file, which was the TS7 hot 855, and we will go to the Python window, output audio. Let's find music folder, impulse responses, NAM profiles, reamp files, and then it's this one. So you can select this one, or you can select multiples in this window, and it will try to run those in a batch unless it runs into an error. Okay, and then the training destination, choose where this will go. So usually this is, some similar folder. So this would be the TS7, tubescreamer TS7 here. So choose that folder. In the metadata, you can give it a name. So this is a TS7 hot, modeled by reaper.blog, gear make, Ibanez, model, tubescreamer, TS7. Type, this is a pedal. Tone type, this is a, I went with crunch for these. So I don't believe this metadata is actually used at all right now. It might be used on the website Tone Hunt, but I don't think it is. So hopefully they'll use this metadata some way in the future to quickly find these captures, but so far they don't. Cab modeling, I did not try this option. I haven't used any real cabinets for this, so I ignored that. It can automatically save the plot, which is the, so what it spits out is these .nam files and these images showing you how close or far off from the real thing. Like how well has this neural network trained to recreate the tone. Most of them are pretty good on this. And honestly, I don't know what any of these peaks and troughs and things actually are. Most of them do pretty well. A lot of these gave me errors when I tried to run it. As long as I know that I've done the reamping thing properly, I've truncated them correctly, I usually click on this ignore data quality checks option just so that it will run. Under advanced options, there's a few other options here, like standard architecture, light, or feather. And to be honest, I don't know. I kept it on standard. Epochs is how many kind of times it's going to go through, how many times it's going to try and try again. So for all of mine, I went with 150. I've seen people go to 1,000 just to get, very, very accurate. At 150 on a M1 Mac Studio, it was taking approximately, I think it was 15 minutes per file to run. Fairly significant. And the delay amount, if you know the exact amount, you can put it there. If you leave it on none or null, it will automatically do this. So I'll just train one. Hopefully this doesn't affect the quality of the stream. I don't remember seeing this. Okay, closing the window makes it finally start. This did not come up last time I ran this. Maybe it's Maybe it's self-updated? I don't know. But now it's running. We'll check back on this in a little while. Being careful about all this stuff, it pays off because I got some much more usable results from it than previous. I was going back and forth with the real thing in that loop versus the plugin, Neural Amp Modeler, and really liking the comparison. It was very, very close. Maybe a little bit off in some frequencies. So one of them was somewhat off. I may have redone it already and then deleted it. Yeah, this one here didn't turn out too well in the mid frequencies, 450, 500 hertz. There's quite a bit of variation. So I kind of like to do this one again. Yeah, in general, these ones are super close. There's some variation, and the more careful you are about the reamping and the more epochs you do, the better the results are going to be. So this one has quite a bit of difference. However, it still sounded pretty good. So let's do a new project. Jaguar bass. Reaper crash, camera crash, off to a great start. So Neural Amp Modeler with some custom MXR M80 bass driver, bass DI. Clean mode 1 was bass, mid, treble, all like that. Color switch on, pretty subtle effect. So bypass. Kind of just fattens it up a little bit. Clean reamp number 2 was EQ at 777 or like that. So kind of just more of everything. More bass, more mids, more treble. Next mode was basically a mid scoop, a little bit of a mid scoop. And I'm just doing different variations of the EQ. So that's number 5 was bass and treble at 10 and the mids at 5. And then the last one, reamp 6, is a mid boost only. Yeah, sounds pretty cool. And then there's the dirt mode, which is engaging the second switch, having the distortion all the way up. The gate was not used. And then different settings for the gain knob. It's probably all the way down to here, here, something like that. I did gain 0, gain 2.5, gain 3.5, 5. I wasn't too picky about the numbers, but going evenly around on the gain control. And then the volume was adjusting just based on the amount of level coming in. So sometimes it was adjusting the volume, sometimes it was adjusting the gain on the preamp, but mainly it was just this gain control. And I left the EQ flat on all of these. So let's go through a couple of those. So M80 bass dirt 1. So this is the lowest gain setting on the distortion mode. So this sort of has like a low cut. It's not as fat as the clean mode, especially if you don't use the EQ. So, but it's useful just sort of like moderate to subtle amount of distortion. And then just adding a little bit more distortion. This one sounds weird to me. This one has this sort of metallic ringing sound. It's hard to describe. Like a chain rattling or something. And it's not the bass because different presets. It's got this like chain rattle. It's kind of weird. So this is the full amount of gain on this pedal, which the trainer was giving me lots of errors for. It was saying this is not a good reamp. And there's quite a bit of variation between the original and trained thing. And this one's got that chain rattle sort of issue as well. Then we get into the blend modes, which setting this blend control to, I have to look at my notes here, blend 3, so something like that, EQ 7, 10, and 5, so a little bit of a bass boost, big mid boost, and the gain was at 4. That's how it would look on the pedal, and here's how it sounds in the plugin. So there is just a little bit of a fuzz in there. And just quickly going back to like clean 1. Yeah, so. But it's also very punchy because of that mid boost. All right, blend 2, EQ 738. So on the pedal, 7, 3, 8, something like that. And the gain was at 5 and the blend was at 5. So something like that. The gain is a little fizzy there. I don't quite like that. I feel like it's better on the actual pedal, but it's pretty good. It's a better sound than that day we were spending like 45 minutes in Helix trying to get a good sound. Hey Mike, how's it going? That's the bass thing. I still need to go through and do the clean without the color mode, which is a more flat sort of sound. The color switch on the pedal by itself adds some thickness, which I like. So for the Tube Screamer, it has two different modes, the classic TS9 mode and the hot mode, which is more of like a, I don't know, turbo overdrive or something like that. Late to the party, are these profiles things that you captured yourself? Yes, exactly what we're doing. So I've got the this pedal, also did this pedal, every drive amount, but with the tone at half. And then there's the two modes, TS9 and hot mode. So it looks like the trainer just finished. It popped up this this image. So this is a pretty good result. Yep, says it's great. I think I covered all the important things that can go wrong with that. It also doesn't rule out bugs with the actual trainer. They're trying to improve it. But yeah, these are the results of that. So that's the minimum amount of gain on the Tube Screamer, which is sort of giving this mid boost and a low cut, plus clipping. Jumping over to the highest gain just because of the file name. Do you have to turn the knobs or anything during capture so it gets the idea of how the amp or pedal controls function? There is a special file that you load in to Reaper before reamping. So it's just a normal reamp, and you just pick a setting and leave it there. You don't want to change anything. Yeah, that's basically it. You just do a lot of reamps, and then it spits out a separate file for each one. So I'm doing different gain settings mostly and leaving the EQs the same. I think it's pretty crazy that you can take some gear, you know, that you've had for a long time and make a really quick virtual emulation of it, really. If your reamps are good, there's no errors, and you get a good workflow going for trimming the ends and time aligning, you can do a pedal in like an hour. For me, it's about 15 to 20 minutes per setting to reamp and then set up the batch and run the batch. So you can always give it more time for better results as well. Kelly, tell me what captures you've done with it. I'd love to know. $6505 plus crunch channel. Nice. I'm looking forward when they improve the actual like browser. Hopefully they'll do that because this is a bit painful. I think it's really cool technology, and it's easy to use, or fairly easy to use right now. Got a lot of pedals to go through, and I also like to set up a few pedals and an amp, model all that at once. So far, I've only been modeling a single setting on a pedal, or a bunch of settings on a single pedal. When doing the reamping, I was using the Line 2 amp from DIY recording equipment, as well as their Ferrite transformer DI box has a Cinemag transformer. May be responsible for some slight changes in the sound. Well, it's supposed to change the sound. That's why you use the transformer. How do I set up lessons? I'm a pretty seasoned Reaper user, but I have a few things I would like to like help with. Yeah, absolutely. Reaper.blog/lessons. Link in the chat there. I do one-on-one support. I got some time this weekend if you want to do it quickly. But yeah, my calendar's there, so if you want to pick a time, you can do that. Mike, let's do the dev theme discussion either on the forum or on Discord. Exciting stuff. That means that Reaper 7 is on the horizon. They're thinking of Reaper 7. The theme is always one huge kind of step that they need to tackle. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Thank you so much. Hopefully we got some good stuff. I still have several clips from the last stream that I need to publish as separate videos. I've been going back. I got some from May, I think, I still hadn't posted. I actually haven't even gone through streams from January, February, or March, really, to get out some new clips, but gonna have to. See you later. Thank you so much.